Hi there, it's Andrew here. We're doing another wee Bible study in John chapter 2 from verse 13. Now, the Jewish Passover was near, so Jesus went up to Jerusalem, and in the temple courts he found people selling oxen, sheep and doves, also the money changers sitting there. So he made a whip out of cords and drove everyone out of the temple courts with the sheep and the oxen. He also poured out the money changers' coins and tipped over the tables. Then to those who were selling doves he said, "Get these things out of here. Stop turning my Father's house into a marketplace." And his disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." This is one of the little incidents in the life of Christ that perhaps if you're not that familiar with the gospel records, you might not be acquainted with and might think it's somehow out of character. But we've got to be careful that when we think something's out of character, it's probably because we have a kind of a stereotype of what we think Christ should be like, rather than actually knowing through reading the scripture what Christ was like. We live in a day when I suppose the real focus of everybody's attention, and we can understand why it is in many ways, is on tolerance and toleration, and almost you have to agree with everything everybody does to be seen as nice or to be seen as good, and really I suppose the presentation of Jesus is in that way, that he's seen as someone who is nice and so on, and there's many ways in which the Lord was, of course, a gentleman. He was good, he was kind, in a way that none of us really can even claim to be like. However, there were things he disagreed with, things he strongly disagreed with, and one of the things he most strongly disagreed with was turning the temple of God, which was the Jewish temple that was built to honor the God of the Hebrews, turning that into a place where people would be fleeced when they went along. People would have money taken off them and extra charges made off them, and instead of coming along to learn about a God who was giving and kind, a God who is loving and just, instead of coming along and hearing about that God at his Father's house, people were coming along and they were having to pay extortionate rates probably for these animals for sacrifice, and basically it was a racket that was going on. Sadly, whether it be whatever religion it is, often there can be a racket involved in it, can't there? Sometimes people like to make as much as they can out of you, and there's nothing would put you off going along to, say, a church if you thought the only reason they want me to come in is that somehow they're going to take my money. And you've probably seen the great sort of tele-evangelists of our era that preach a message which is very dissimilar to the message of Jesus, and what they're doing is they're actually basically asking people to click the buttons on the television so that they can make money out of you all the time, and they're trying to fleece you. Well, I think Jesus' response to them would be very like his response here. He throws the money changers out. He makes this whip to drive out the animals and to drive out the people, and everybody is driven out of the temple courts. And he obviously does it with a measure of authority. People stream out of the temple courts, the place where they'd been, and he turns over the tables of the money changers, the people that are there just to make a pound. They're there to make some money off the people that are there. And really, I think it's important that we understand the very character of Christ in this. Here is Christ. He's coming as a giving person. He's coming as the Son of God to give himself. He's coming and he's representing a giving God. And so he does not expect those who are saying that they're honouring his name to be those who are trying to fleece people. And so it says the zeal of God's house eat him up. In other words, he thought that was a complete misrepresentation of his Father and his God. And so it's important we understand that as we're looking at these studies in John's Gospel, that there were things that Jesus got angry about. He got angry about hypocrisy. he got angry about a misrepresentation of his Father. So, and the next time you think about Jesus, you ask yourself the question, is my understanding of Jesus, is it in line with the scriptures? Is it in line with what John says? So if you think, or you see someone who says they're representing Christianity and they're always trying to just make money out of you, or they're gathering people and supporters around them to fleece them in some way, you can know for sure that that is not the character of Jesus. Okay, so that'll maybe be enough for our little study for today.